Well, good afternoon everyone, and welcome up here in Manchester at the Leigh Sports Village between Manchester United and West Ham United in the Premier League 2 playoffs. About to come at 3 p.m. kickoff time, the quarter-finals of the Premier League 2 playoffs. West Ham looking to try and get into the semi-finals. Manchester United, of course, have had a rich history in this competition in previous years, but looking to try and get back to the top. But in their way are West Ham. We'll go through the team lineups now. Starting off with the home side, of course, it is just the two changes made by their head coach. It's Devaney and Sam Mather coming in. Alongside them, of course, the goalkeeper, Eli Harrison, the captain, Habib Ogunai, Louis Jackson, Godwill Kukonki, Sam Murray, Jacob Devaney, who of course has come in, James Scanlon, Tyler Fletcher, one of the top goal scorers, Ethan Wheatley, coming into the side, Sekou Kone, and of course Sam Mather. Substitutions for the hosts: Tommy Rowe, Will Murdoch, Reece Munro, Jack Fletcher and Gabe Biancherry. As for your Hammers, just the one change made by Mark Robson since their 3-1 victory against Sunderland a couple of weekends ago. Of course, the ever-present Finn Herrick with Junior Robinson, Ezra Mayers, Tyron Akpata, Erides Golombekis, Caelan Casey, Kamari Swire, Lewis Orford, Josh Ajala, Amika Adiele and Regan Clayton, who of course comes in for Sean Moore, who finds himself on the bench, alongside Dan Rigg, Mason Terry, Ryan Batchram and Josh Briggs. So of course it'll be good to see Regan Clayton back in the side. He's been on loan with Dagenham and Redbridge since the turn of the year. Made 11 appearances for them. Of course they're playing a really important game in the National League to try and stay in it. They're up against Solihull Moors. They need a win to stay in the National League, but Regan Clayton's duties today is to try and make sure his side have as best of a chance as possible to get through to the semi-finals. But in their way, Manchester United, of course, these two sides have already met this season. There was a West Ham defeat that day. It was Ethan Ennis who scored for Manchester United at the very deft 96th minute goal, which then saw West Ham carry on that losing streak they unfortunately had back in November, of course. Since then, though, of course, that defeat against Manchester United was then West Ham's fourth Premier League defeat in a row, but then their last for quite some time, as they then went on to win 7 out of their next 7 Premier League 2 games. Of course, West Ham went into the playoffs having not won a game from their last 4, but a strong second half performance against Sunderland meant that they now find themselves going into this game with a lot of confidence. Of course, I was alongside Mark Phillips. You are joined by me, just Ollie Ordis today. Unfortunately not with Mark by my side, but for the next 90 minutes we'll have to wait and see how West Ham fare, making that journey from East London and Rush Green up to the Leigh Sports Village, and they're making their way out onto the pitch behind the fourth officials and referees. The two captains for your game today, of course, the number 2 for Manchester United, Habib Ogunai, and of course the number 6, Caelan Casey. As we could see, West Ham in their all black strip, ready to try and get into the semi-finals at the Leigh Sports Village, which is where the Manchester United youth team play, the under-21s of course, and the women's side. So this is of course Manchester United through and through here for the other sides that aren't their first team. It's in a little industrial estate, just around a few miles outside of the city centre, which is where of course these under-21s ply their trade. Of course they finished the season in 5th, just 2 points in a position below West Ham, having won 11 games and losing 6. And of course going into this, they beat Everton 4-2. They found themselves 2-1 down at the break, but it was a brace by Ethan Wheatley, who of course starts for Manchester United this afternoon. Saw Man United just need the 90 minutes to beat the Everton side, which has now set them up to play West Ham. Of course, going into this game, they know that the semi-final will be a very difficult one against Manchester City, who of course were the table toppers in the main Premier League 2 table. That will be played either between the 9th and 12th of May. And then, looking beyond that, it's either Southampton, Fulham or Crystal Palace that West Ham or Manchester United could face if they were to go the distance. Hopefully West Ham go the distance though, as Mark likes to communicate with West Ham fans. We are the only United up against Manchester United. Caelan Casey just directing his side to go the other way, as we'll be playing from left to right for West Ham this afternoon. If you're just joining us here at the Leigh Sports Village on the West Ham YouTube channel and the website, just run you through your West Ham United team. The one change made by Mark Robson since the 3-1 victory against Sunderland. It's Finn Herrick in goal, Junior Robinson and Adieli looking to be the wing-backs for this afternoon's affair, with Mayers, Golan Beckis and Caelan Casey as the back three. Then your typical midfield with that Patter and Orford, with Regan Clayton, Kamari Swire and Josh Ajala leading the line. Of course, Regan Clayton, we've seen play wing-back sometimes, but it looks like he'll be further up the pitch. Or perhaps, we'll find out, it could be Regan Clayton playing like that left wing-back with Amika Adieli furthermore advanced. Of course, Adieli wearing the number 10. We often see him wear the number 11, which may suggest he may play in one of the more number 10 positions that we often see Kamari Swire play. Or Ryan Battram when he's come on, or especially Sean Moore, who is of course on the bench with Dan Rigg, Ryan Battram and Josh Briggs. Mason Terry is the goalkeeper. Of course, his time at Hornchurch has come to an end, and it ended on a real high for Mason Terry in the National League South. He was named the Hornchurch Supporters Player of the Season after an outstanding campaign for the side in the 6th tier. And of course, he won the same award with the Concord Rangers fans the season prior, so he is clearly a fan's favourite, and we'd like to see him be a fan's favourite for West Ham next season, given the chance for the Hammers. But here we are, underway at the Leigh Sports Village. Josh Ajala, of course, got West Ham 1-0 up within 1 minute, and it almost could have been the same again. That time, though, for Adieli, who broke into the box down the left, firing it towards the goalkeeper. Ajala was lurking, but it was a good save from Harrison to come down to his near side to deny an early goal. So things just having to calm down there. Of course, West Ham like to get on the front foot early on. We saw it against Sunderland. But then, throughout the rest of the first half, it did feel like they were on the back foot. Sunderland really pushing in on West Ham throughout that first half performance. Mark mentioned that a few changes need to be made, perhaps get a little bit more comfortable on the ball. But they're looking comfortable for now as it's pulled across. Cleared away by Sam Murray, the centre-half. As Mayers just has to try and latch on to that clearance. Both sides believe it's theirs, but it will go in the way of West Ham. And look at that for an early chance. Ajala making the run into the box. Adieli just had the aim, which was to go for goal. Ajala just behind the goalkeeper. So he'd have had to have fumbled that for Ajala to have a tap in. Of course, the Manchester United team. Ethan Wheatley. Manchester United look to try and have a chance to make of theirs early on in the first 2 minutes, but nothing comes of it, and it will be another Herrick goal kick. Of course, Finn Herrick is the goalkeeper this afternoon. As I said, Mason Terry, he's on the bench after having a really good season with Hornchurch. He'll be someone to look forward to watching next season. Depends where he goes. Of course, Herrick's had a really good campaign this season. His distribution's been brilliant in some games as well. Of course, Lanre Owesu has looked promising when he's come into the forefront as well, in between the sticks for Mark Robson's side. He's even trained with the first team, just only 17 years of age as well. And of course, he's had a brilliant campaign with the under-18s. Just a couple of Tuesdays ago, they won that Premier League Cup competition. What an evening that was up in Reading. Owesu, the goalkeeper there, he was very important against Manchester United in the quarter-final for the under-18s in the Premier League Cup, making some important saves, not just in the match, but also in the penalty shootout. And of course, if that was to be the distance today, we could see a penalty shootout as well, with it being the quarter-final of the Premier League 2 playoffs. intercepted there. But of course, the number 8, Tyler Fletcher. Of course, for you Hammers, if you want me to go over the Man United team, then I will, just for your sake. Eli Harrison in goal, Habib Ogunay, and of course the captain, the number 2, number 3, Louis Jackson, number 4, Godwill Kokonki, the centre-half. We just saw it play it back to the goalkeeper there. Sam Murray, another centre-half, with Jacob Devaney, who came in as well. James Scannell, an attacker, someone who knows where the back of the net is, with Tyler Fletcher. On the ball there was the number 10, Sekou Kone. Of course, Ethan Wheatley leading the line alongside Sam Matthew. A couple of real goal scorers for this Manchester United side up against the back 3 for West Ham this afternoon. It's going to be a big game, a tough game. Manchester United often is at this level, often well drilled. Of course, West Ham United have been very well drilled this season at keeping goals out. They've got the third best defence in the league. They only conceded 24, Man City conceded 23 and Brighton only 22. At the same time, West Ham were also one of the lowest scorers in the division as well. They only scored 30 goals, but due to their solid defence, they've been able to see a lot of those games where they've just scored 1 goal go through to still need 3 points. They managed to keep the door shut for the attackers as Manchester United looked to create their first real chance on goal. Spread out to the right. That's a nice ball for Herrick to deal with. Just had to stretch his arms back to collect that ball played in from Ogunay. There's Robinson. Now Orford. Patter in a good position in deep. Orford just played it over towards Swire. It does fall back to Mayers. West Ham just enjoying some possession in their own half as Herrick tries to gain some yards on Manchester United, but now it's taken down nicely by Fletcher. Manchester United, coached by the 38-year-old Travis Binion. Of course, had his youth career at Sheffield United and then spent time in Finland before having to retire early due to not getting enough game time as well as injury. In 2016, he then became the academy manager of Sheffield United and moved to Manchester United in 2019, where he became appointed as the head of player development for the under 14 to 16 phase, before being appointed as in his current role for the under 21s after 2021. Of course, he was still a league coach with the under 18s and won the FA Youth Cup in 2022 with Manchester United. If I had Mark to my right hand side, of course he'd remind me and you watching the year after it was West Ham United who were FA Youth Cup champions. Manchester United with the first corner of the game. They take it short. Now they'll try and send one in. Herrick just staying on his line as one of his defenders heads it away, but it's taken down by Devaney and then played back patiently. Ogunay. Of course, Manchester United last won this competition in the 2015-16 season. It's been almost 9 years now since they won the prestigious prize of under-21s football. West Ham United, however, have never had the luxury of saying that they've been crowned champions of the Premier League 2. Of course, this format only came in a couple of seasons ago, where the first top 16 teams in the main tier would go into the playoffs. The ball is sent long towards the striker, who then fouls Casey. You could just see his hand, just had a little nick on the back of Casey's shirt. Ethan Wheatley there. Of course, Ethan Wheatley, another under-19s England international, played for the England under-19s last season, or last winter, alongside Lewis Orford and Finn Herrick. Scored versus Wales, in which Orford also came on as a late substitute that game. So West Ham's number 8 this afternoon, as has been all season. I'll know plenty about the Manchester United striker. And that can only help this West Ham side that, of course, Warford is so instrumental in. Interesting to see what happens to him in the summer, whether he fancies still having to work for the first team for West Ham and keep with under-21s football, or whether perhaps a first team loan to a side in the lower divisions may take his fancy. Of course, he's seen a lot of his old West Ham Academy colleagues have successful seasons now, such as George Earthy, who has won a terrific award at Bristol City just a couple of weeks ago. Of course, he won one of the Young Player of the Season awards and helped Bristol City secure a place in the promotion playoffs with a 2-2 comeback draw against Preston North End. Earthy contributed as he was able to overturn a 2-goal deficit, of course, clinch a point. And due to results going around the table, Bristol City find themselves in the top 6 since 2008. So it'll be interesting to see George Earthy in that magnitude of games. Of course, they're playing on the 8th and 12th of May. Sent in. Herrick with the safe hands once more. Of course, if you do want to see George Earthy playing in the playoff semi-finals, Sheffield United are the opponent. It's going to be a tough one. They'll be playing at home at Ashton Gate on the 8th of May and then travel to Bramall Lane on the 12th of May too. So we'll be looking to see how Earthy fares in those and wish him all the best for probably some of the biggest games of his career, if not the biggest. Well, apart from the FA Youth Cup final, of course, in 2023. And Clayton, who looks to be playing like a left wing back. You can see Adieli there just inside. Warford around, but he plays it back safely to Ezra Mayers. Of course, this is Regan Clayton's first game for West Ham since January. He played last in West Ham colours in a 1-0 victory versus Stoke. And of course found himself playing for Dagenham and Redbridge, in which he's made 11 appearances. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares up against under-21 players again, following his time up against senior professionals. Conky over towards Devaney. You see Murray on this near side, playing like a left centre half / left back. West Ham just holding off the press, which is something we didn't see too much of in the first half either. Of course, Mark mentioned how he noticed how Sunderland were really dominating the press game in that first half, and perhaps it was a reason why West Ham were pulled back and it was one apiece for a large part. And West Ham didn't really seem to pose a threat after they went 1-0 up in the first minute. And then when they did start to apply pressure on Sunderland, and perhaps Sunderland started to tire due to their first half press, they were then able to really run away with it, and even saw Sunderland finish the game with just 10 players. So perhaps they may just be wanting to reserve some of that energy for when it matters, especially knowing that this game could end up going to extra time. Casey. Clayton. Looking to charge forward. He's got Scanlon just around him. He changes his direction. He fancies to go back. See Warford trying to provide an option for KC, but Man United, you can see their press is very obvious when the defenders for West Ham are on the ball. Patter given time to assess where to go. It's the short passing that'll do for West Ham at the time being. Not that time. It finds its way back safely into the grasp of Eli Harrison. The other Premier League 2 game on this evening is Southampton versus Fulham. That's a kick-off time at 7 p.m. Plenty of time for Harrison to think about what to do. You can see West Ham's game plan so far is certainly just don't put too much pressure on this Manchester United back line. I suppose he did have plenty of Man United shirts around him to play it to, so West Ham also didn't want to be vulnerable in pressing to allow room around their midfield. Of course, the other quarter-finals which have taken place, Crystal Palace beat Chelsea 6-0. What an emphatic scoreline that is against the side from West London. I was saying as well in April when I was up in the gantry at Rush Green with Mark that Crystal Palace would be one of the tougher teams to come up against, and they certainly showed it in that performance against Chelsea there. Of course, Manchester City beat Arsenal as well in extra time. Both of their games have had to go to extra time. Both of their games have been won by ex-Hammer Divin Mbama. Of course, Manchester City looked like they were going to be knocked out to Arsenal. But they scored a 94th minute goal, and then guttingly for Arsenal, they ended up conceding again in extra time just after the 15-minute break to lose 3-2, which has obviously meant that Manchester City will be the opposition for either of these two in the next round of the semi-finals. Fulham too have been a side that have caused West Ham trouble this season. They of course face Southampton later on tonight. Either side really generating clear cuts. Alan Beckis will stick in a leg, but in doing so just gets a knock as well. And Sam Murray will take the throw for Manchester United. Here's Devaney. Ogunay eyes room to run into as he carries on his run, but not just there, as he just holds it off with two black shirts around him. Sam Mather, 8 goals to his name so far this season, as he looked to try and provide an assist there, perhaps wanting the reverse pass as well, as he did continue his run, but West Ham did well defending that there. Here's Adiele. Now Golan Beckis. Orford, tight area. As you can see, they are compact in that midfield, Manchester United, not really giving Orford or Akpata the freedom to have much room. You can see they're quite close together as well. Clayton just tried to stick in a leg to poke it towards Adiele, but Manchester United keep the ball well. Here's Murray. Scanlon. West Ham just happy for Manchester United to enjoy the ball, which is what they're doing, but they're not really making anything count so far. Of course, it's just been 17 minutes, and the only shot on goal West Ham have had came through Adiele in the first minute. Since then, Manchester United have had 2 corners, but both corners have gone straight into the gloves of Finn Herrick, who is in goal for West Ham this afternoon. Here's Louis Jackson. Devaney just coming back to provide an option. Conkeys to his left, but he plays it over towards his skipper, Ogunay. Now Devaney. Poor pass. West Ham will welcome that as they manage to get a throw. Golan Beckett's just trying to urge his team with a bit of motivation. Haven't seen West Ham really get on the front foot just yet, apart from that chance in the opening minute. And they've been happy to just let Manchester United play with the ball and not really gain any yards at the same time. Clayton. Pato with a poor first pass, needs to just keep his head though, and there he is again with the interception. Terrific there from Akpata, but West Ham just unable to actually make anything count of that. You could see his frustration when he gave away the ball, but you've got to admire the way he won it back. Of course, it was at the same time quite a poor pass from Manchester United and their standards. They try the direct approach, but he's nothing long balls. They're just killing the momentum of the game, really. I suppose they haven't really built much momentum either side. It is still early days in this game. Early minutes, really, but now come Clayton. As he sends in a ball, Ajala was around. Clayton managed to send in a good delivery, but the goalkeeper was alert to the danger. Once again, Ajala just behind the goalkeeper there as the ball was played in. We saw a similar position when Adieli struck it low at the goalkeeper. Clayton, good determination to try and win it back. It will be a Manchester United throw. Of course, this was a very low-scoring game when these two met each other. It was just 1-0 to Manchester United. Ethan Ennis, of course, in the 96th minute, who scored the goal. He then went on to loan to Doncaster for the second half of the season, joining Patrick Kelly. Of course, Patrick Kelly in this promotion-winning side with Doncaster Rovers after their final day victory against Notts County, where they won 2-1. Patrick Kelly will receive a winner's medal, albeit he didn't play in that game. But he did feature 38 times in all competitions and scored 3 goals during his first full season out on loan. So I'm sure he'll be happy and the club will be satisfied with the games played at that level. Of course, plenty of other players that have been out on loan have enjoyed successful seasons, Callum Marshall being one of them as well. He was named Huddersfield Town's Player of the Year for this campaign. And the fans have praised his drive and hard work and passion on the pitch, which is something you do get with West Ham players at this level. And of course, he is one of their own. From Northern Ireland, albeit he's given everything when he's played in a claret and blue shirt, and he's done the same playing for Huddersfield. So one of those players you do want in your team. And it's good to see him well loved in his time up north. One of the cliches you could say, it's been a bit of a chess match so far, or has it slightly been dull? Well, Manchester United will try and stop that from being the case, but it was a vital block from Casey as he was aiming for a low corner. This looks like Manchester United's best attacking spell of the game, but West Ham are able to clear their lines up towards Ajala, who have no real black shirts around him apart from just a swarm of Manchester United pressure, which enabled them to win it back with ease. Here's Kokonki. Murray. Now to Kokonki. So as we approach the first half point, the halfway point of this first half, as mentioned, neither side really doing much to break the other down. The ball's mostly been spent with Manchester United passing it around in this similar position in the mid-third. But unable to play any real dangerous balls forward to test the West Ham defence. Corsac Patter did mention going into the playoffs that it really does have a different type of feel, where it doesn't just feel like a typical development game. It really is all or nothing. The second you lose, you're then out. And I suppose having that jeopardy on the line can spark enthusiasm into the players' mindsets. and give them that pressure which they may need practice with going into the later stages of their career. Of course, that's the main part of the development programme for the Premier League sides. Let's try and get these players used to playing high-intensity games that you may not typically get in a standard league phase, but with the introduction of the playoffs, it's the opposite. And so far, this hasn't been an advert for high-intensity football just yet. Colin Beckis on the right. And United winning it back and playing it over towards Ogunay. There's Godwill Kakonki. Manchester United's last defeat in the Premier League 2 came in February versus Chelsea, which was their second in a row. After that, they've been unbeaten in the Premier League 2 competition, winning 2 and drawing 3 to end the normal Premier League 2 season. Of course, beating Everton 4-2 in the last round. Ethan Wheatley scoring a double, who finds himself in the box right now. And Sekou Kone also got on the score sheet, the number 10, who's just trying to make an option on that right-hand side. Manchester United forced to play it back due to West Ham's organisation. Konki. Forward in towards Kone. Now Fletcher. Jackson. See there, the West Ham fans coming up all the way from East London and wherever they may be. You've got to applaud the support for West Ham. Of course, brilliant fan base, committed, and you can see how good they were up in Reading when the Majewski had half the stand filled out by West Ham fans. Well, may not have been fully half, but it certainly sounded like half, if not more, when they really got going, especially at the end. And you really have to salute those up at the Leigh Sports Village this afternoon in this all-important quarter-final. And West Ham gaining yards on Manchester United and winning a free kick. Perhaps this could actually be the injection of some excitement and intensity that we haven't seen so far, but as we've seen with Premier League 2 football, the game can just be changed. 1 minute you feel like it's the same passing patterns being experienced for a large part of the half, and then all it takes is a controversial decision, a bad challenge, to then really up the intensity. Regan Clayton is over this one. He's got Junior Robinson just to his right. He'll try and send in a ball and open up the scoring. It goes underneath Casey. Whether that's out for a corner, I'm unsure, but judging by where the players are running to, it will be a goal kick. So, unable to make anything just happen there. Regan Clayton, however, did send in a promising delivery. Just went underneath Casey. Of course, he sent in a good ball in open play, which he tried to find Ajala with, but the goalkeeper was alert and able to claim it. So Clayton so far being one of the brighter sparks in this West Ham side in the opening half an hour. As they switch it over, Mayers having to chase his man Scanlon on the right hand side. United with bodies forward, Man United I should say. West Ham just stopping them from trying to get a ball into the box, although he did manage to whip his foot round it and see it travel towards that 6-yard area, but the defending did well. It will be another throw for the home side. Kukonki, we've seen a lot of the ball at his feet. Probably say he's had the highest touches in the game so far. Which, bit of pressure shown from Swire as he leads the charge. Adiele playing in that off the striker role in that left side, just trying to win it back as well, but Manchester United come away with the ball there. Jackson. They're just able to have the ball at their feet. Of course, I understand you don't want to perhaps press all the time because that can tire you out. But Man United do feel that they can pass it around, but they've been caught out here. Adiele! Just like that. West Ham make it 1-0 before the half-hour mark. And that's what you want to see as a Hammer. Doesn't take much, but presented with an opportunity, they find the back of the net.
Goal scorer.
You've got to applaud Ajala there. Orford was in the right place. Lovely pass to his left, and Adiele with a low strike into the side of the net. Strutting off in celebration, looking to his players as they take the lead and find themselves a step closer towards the semi-final. Just as the game was continuing to be slow, it doesn't matter because they've taken the lead. And you can play slow, you can play defensive, but as long as you're winning, who cares? Manchester United will now to try and up the intensity on their end. Of course, West Ham have let Manchester United have the ball. They haven't pressed much, but when they did press, which you saw Ajala doing there, he was able to, I suppose, add that pressure, a bit of confusion on the number 8, Tyler Fletcher, who found himself with the ball at his feet, just in the midway part of the Manchester United half. And then in doing so, Orford found himself with the ball and got another assist. And Colin Beckis there, sliding in. In fact, it was Caelan Casey, actually. A little high five between the number 5 and number 6 this afternoon. Of course, Adiele typically playing that left wing-back role, which Regan Clayton is in this afternoon. So you don't really see him get us forward into that specific pocket where he was found by Orford to eventually get the goal. Of course, perhaps the 18-year-old may want to play further up the field. He often does when he's played for the under-18s. But he's looked brilliant at under-18s level when I've watched him play, especially against Manchester United in the quarter-finals. He was electric. He's enjoying his second game third now, against Manchester United this season. 2 for the under-21s, with this being the second, and the first, of course, being that quarter-final back in February. It's time to welcome that. Throw in. Now Colin Beckis. Casey. Driving forward, just having Wheatley occupy his run. Now Herrick. Trying to find Robinson, but Sam Murray is underneath it. Wilford intercepts. Now you see West Ham, you feel like could have a bit of a swagger about them as they play advantage, but no they don't. The referee holds it back for the foul on the goal scorer, and I think we're going to see our first yellow card. Yes, we are. It's going the West Ham way so far, And the player that will go into the book will be Jacob Devaney, who of course came in. Having been absent in their last game against Everton, he finds himself already given a yellow card in this first half. Ooh. Nice idea, firm forward ball. Adieli unable to find that first touch, which it did require. It was a good idea, just was asking a lot for Adieli whilst he was on the run. To make that first touch would have been some effort. Now you're starting to see West Ham perhaps just press Man United a little bit more than what we were seeing in the opening 20 minutes. Put under pressure once again. Ajala senses he could put off Harrison, the goalkeeper there. Now Akpata. Back to Mayers and safely back to Herrick in goal. Like a right back at the moment. Slight little formation change perhaps, with Robinson pushing up like a right midfielder or a right winger, but that's a poor ball from Herrick, but Mayer's there to smash it forward, and now you can see Robinson chasing that ball down. Slight little shirt pull there from Robinson, but Manchester United tried to work it through. Devaney trying to send it long over towards the number 7 James Scanlon, but luckily for West Ham it doesn't find the number 7, and instead it will be a throw-in taken by Mayers. Herrick towards Swire, who leaps up simultaneously with Kukonki. Charges towards Harrison. He was confident with the pass and it pulled off. That pass didn't, however. Back in West Ham territory now as we approach the final 9 minutes of the first half. Amika Adieli's goal is what keeps West Ham in front. Just a couple of minutes to go. Finding the back of the net. Putting West Ham in charge. Now Kukonki. Here's Murray. That's one of the closest to him, but back to Kukonki. How often have we seen this from Manchester United? The centre-halves playing a game of their own. That's a promising run forward from Oganai, and he wins a free kick. The referee instantly seeing the foul committed from West Ham, and now West Ham will have a player go into the book. And I believe it will be Regan Clayton. He's enjoying his first game in Claret and Blue since January, finding himself cautioned there late on in this first period. Kukonki. Now Murray. Run it back through Golombekis. Orford. Nice work there as he just invited the players to press and then open up room behind them. Robinson with the ball in. Ajala present but unable to find it. They'll find Clayton instead. Casey. Back to Herrick. A nice pass, finding the goal scorer. Here's Mayers. West Ham confident in playing out from the back, as we often see. It's good to see here in this high stakes game they're able to just play with this confidence. Just giving it back though cheaply. Manchester United able to win it back and try and have some possession that conjures to a goal. But so far West Ham have been robust enough to just keep Manchester United pushed into their own half, or mainly as well at the halfway point of the pitch too. They haven't even had a strike on goal yet at Herrick, nor really had any sort of opportunity. The only one came early on in the game, where it found Casey, who had blocked the shot. Apart from that, they haven't had much luck in the attacking department. Entering the final 5 minutes now of the first half. Here's Harrison once more. Travis Binion will be surely frustrated with how his team have played, considering they've had so much of the ball but haven't actually been able to do anything with it. And even when they're on the ball, I'm a football expert really, that's why I have Mark by my side, but they just feel slow. They keep the ball at their feet for too long. Perhaps they're wanting to invite in this West Ham press to then play it through them. But West Ham are able to deal with this set piece or set play from Manchester United. It's like they're playing walking football at times. West Ham happy to just stand off. Just don't want it to be, all it takes is one good pass, one strong pass to actually find a player, as they try playing it there, but once again Casey there when it mattered. Managing to gain yards on West Ham now, and they've got a free kick. Taken quickly, but too quickly by Devaney. Referee brings it back. You can see Devaney, he wants to play it quickly. The number 6 in the middle of the park for Manchester United. Perhaps Manchester United feel like they just don't really have anywhere to go at times, especially when the ball is being played by their defenders. West Ham playing with a back 5 when they're out of possession. Perhaps that's the reason why there's no chance for an attack, but there is now. Here's Murray feeding in a ball. Finding Kone, silky feet, pulling it back. Manchester United calling for a foul there. It's starting to look a little promising as we approach the final 3 minutes of the first half. Here's Murray again. Now Mather feeding a lovely ball through to Devaney. That's excellent. Devaney trying to pull it across again. And Robinson will clear it away and win a foul in doing so too. So just after that chance for Manchester United, you feel like that is where they can produce an opportunity, especially with the nice ball played from Sam Mather. He's got 8 goals this season and just 2 assists. Trying to find another there with Devaney. He was pushed out towards the left side of the penalty area. Perhaps would have wanted more of a central position when up against Finn Herrick, but it was good defending from West Ham to push him away from the target. Swire. Forward pass intercepted and now driven forward by Fletcher. That's poor positioning from Ethan Wheatley, but even better positioning from Casey, who was able to just read that pass well and stop the number 9 from finding the ball at his feet. Not the best you've seen there from Swire, who just walked the ball out of play by accident. Devaney finding Mather. Murray on the overlap, but he goes inside. Tries another one of those reverse passes and a terrific spin from Orford on the turn. And he's driving forward now. Swire brought down, but the referee sees nothing in that, and Manchester United will try and gain yards on West Ham. Here's Murray again. Mather. He's looked lively when he's got on the ball, looked dangerous with the passes he can make. Hasn't seen much of the ball at all, really, in this first half, so a player West Ham will want to try and keep off it in the second. And for the remaining 20 seconds of this first half, it will be a corner. Still no corners for West Ham yet. I think that's 3 now for the hosts. Both of which have seen the ball go straight into the gloves of Herrick. He's got Murray close to him, and he'll play it short. Clearly, set piece from the training ground as Kone will try and conjure up something. Here's Murray. Lifts it in. Headed away for a Manchester United throw. Headed away, and that'll be the last touch of the first half. Positive for West Ham. Fairly lacklustre from both sides, but of course West Ham go into the break a goal up thanks to Mika Adieli. And they're 1 half away from getting through to the semi-finals against Manchester City. So we'll be back in just under 15 minutes time, a big second half for West Ham. Hopefully they can get the job done. We'll be back in just under 15 minutes, and Mika Adieli keeps it longer. Welcome back, everyone. The half-time break done and dusted as the players are back out on the pitch. Look at the Ramirez there, firing to go for this second half, where West Ham are in control thanks to their number 10, Amika Adieli. Of course, his low strike just before the 30-minute mark is what keeps West Ham in front. But Manchester United potentially may have made a couple of substitutions. Did see two players remaining on the touchline waiting to come on. But we'll have to double check if that is correct. As for West Ham, it looks to be the same starting 11. Mark Robinson doesn't typically use substitutes unless he needs to, due to injury for example, until the latter stages of the game. So no surprise there that it's the same 11 that started the first half. Start the second, and we are off underway. Orford playing it over towards that right-hand side, ready for a quick start, which we did have a bit of in the first half. It was Adieli's strike that was saved and met the goalkeeper's gloves in the first minute, looking for a replica start, as they did against Sunderland. Here comes Adieli. Of course, the first half, which, in all honesty, was fairly lacklustre. Manchester United willing to just play it round the back, even keep the ball at their feet and not actually run with it. Of course, West Ham were happy to hold their lines, hold off the press when they needed to, which is what they did well, reserved that energy, and then when they do get a chance, which is what we saw, they fire it out, Manchester United, and that's what keeps them in the lead. Have a chance to double their lead now. Akpata, Clayton, Orford in close proximity, but it is going to be Lewis Orford to pick this free kick out. And he's in good goal scoring form of recent, Lewis Orford. Can he find the back of the net now? He can find the target, but not the back of the net. Goalkeeper Harrison being tested early in this second half. Here's Robinson. Now Swire. Robinson again. Orford. Dispossessed as he had three red shirts around him. And it's Mather, who started to open things up for Manchester United late on in that first half, is central to their play right now. As he looks to try and register an assist, it requires Mayers to poke it past out for another Manchester United corner. But you could see there, cutting West Ham open from defence to attack. The number 7, James Scanlon, was the player he was trying to find. And instead it was the foot of Ezra Mayers to take it past. So an exciting start so far here in the Leigh Sports Village Stadium. You already see some West Ham fans having made the journey up to Manchester to support their academy side. They've got some defending to do early on as it's swung in, but once again Herrick has been extremely affirmative with those catches after the corner. Here's Mayers. Now Clayton driving forward. Adieli. So no substitutions made by Manchester United. Here's Travis Binion, the head coach, surely frustrated with his team's first half performance. Already they look a little bit more eager. But time will tell to see how West Ham can manage whatever may have been said from Binion and his colleagues in the dugout. Herrick. Got Scanlon around him. And also Wheatley. Intercepting at Uganay. He looks to try and make something happen down the right. Here's Fletcher. Back out to Uganay. Hits the face of his player. That's unfortunate. Scanlon finding the ball, hit his ear. That out of the blue. Wouldn't just hurt, but also would just be really frustrating. Sustaining that pain just to see West Ham win the ball back, but West Ham won't mind. So another goal kick for Herrick. Taking it short to Mayers. Intercepted once again by Wheatley. Of course, in the semi-finals already is Crystal Palace, Manchester City, and either Fulham or Southampton. Of course, Fulham-Southampton kicking off at 7 p.m. tonight. And of course, the winner of that game will face Crystal Palace. These two already know who they'll face. And if it carries on going the way it already is, West Ham will be finding themselves with another trip up to Manchester. Here's Orford. Casey. Herrick. Orford's pass intercepted. Manchester United sense an early opportunity as they look to work it. Scanlon, this is good, and it's 1-1. Orford will be disappointed with that pass, but it wasn't all down to him, of course. Scanlon was left open on that right-hand side.
Number 7, James Scanlon.
Just playing it into the path of Devaney, who laid it off to Tyler Fletcher. Scanlon in room, and you really fancied his chances from that angle and range. Manchester United back in it. West Ham, unfortunately, having to kick off just 6 minutes after they kicked off for the second half, but not for the circumstances they wanted. So West Ham will have to show character and the ability to just come back to them, which is what Colin Beckers tries to do as he plays it over towards Robinson. Here's Ogane. Back to Kokonki. Ogane driving forward. West Ham in the throw. Binion, that'll be a brilliant start for his side. Just trying to get on the front foot and bring the game to West Ham. They didn't really trouble West Ham at all. The first time they saw an opportunity in the second half to hurt them, they took it. Fed through again, Scanlon fancying it. Herrick running out of his line. Casey was there to just clear it away. Slight miscommunication though, as Herrick would have wanted to hold that ball, but it's still alive here for Manchester United. Through Wheatley, who's being held off by Clayton. He needs to be careful as he's already on a yellow. Certainly trying to show Wheatley that he's present there. And the referee coming over. Thank goodness, he's going out for his spray. I thought he could have pulled out a second yellow there. And they've got another opportunity. This time for Manchester United to try and get back in front. Over this is, of course, Sam Mather and Scanlon. A wall of Adiele and Ajala. Sent in by Murray. Punched away by Herrick. And a corner kick. West Ham having to do some defending early on in this second half. Manchester United starting it exactly how they would have wanted. Came off the head of Kokonki, but also just after it left the chance. Herrick had his hand onto it. We've just seen it go out of play for another corner kick. Kone. Move towards Devaney. Here's Fletcher. Brilliant first touch as he controls it. Back to Ogene. West Ham just not being roped in to try and press this Manchester United passing around their back line. They tried to play it long this time. Clayton just having to show to the referee that his hands weren't onto him. As they probably suspect now, Manchester United, that if they get a chance up against Clayton, there could be an opportunity to try and make him look like he had fouled, or try and even make him foul them. Here's Devaney. It's a shame for Lewis Orford to not find his pass meet a West Ham player. As West Ham look to be under pressure again as the ball just flashes across the face of goal. See that from Ogene, chesting it down nicely up against Clayton. And if someone was there at the right place, it could have easily been 2-1. Robinson just brought down in front of Travis Binion's bench. And it will be a Manchester United throw. Here's Ogene. They're liking those balls down the line, down this right-hand side, Manchester United. As they try to switch it over to this right. Headed away by Kone, but into the direction of Swire. Here they come again. Fletcher opening up in the middle of the park, sending it over towards Ogene. Wheatley's in the area. Herrick just adjusts his position. Wheatley with a heavy touch. Now Orford trying to drive it forward and foul in doing so. Good work there from Lewis Orford, who, alongside Kamari Swire, have both been shortlisted for the Premier League 2 Player of the Month award for April. The third time this season that 2 West Ham players have been nominated in the same month. Of course, both Orford and Swire were directly involved in all 3 of the team's goals across April's normal season fixtures. Orford, of course, with the brace against Crystal Palace and a superb assist at the Riverside for Kamari Swire. Of course, the nomination marks Orford's 3rd of the season during a great year of progress. As mentioned earlier, not just a vice-captain, but also signed a 5-year contract and made his debut in the Premier League. Really looking forward to seeing what he does next season. As we have just over half an hour left of normal time. If it remains this way, it will be another 30 minutes and potentially penalties. Manchester United dominating the ball in the second half so far. Ajala hasn't really had much to do in this game. Here's Mayers. Adiele, not having much time to try and think of a forward pass. Clayton with a slight slip and back to Mayers. Herrick will try and send it over towards the left. This is promising. Wheatley trying to make it 2-1 and he does! Manchester United turning it around through Ethan Wheatley, who gets his 9th goal in 11 games for the under-21s this season.
Manchester United, number 9, Ethan Wheatley.
Complete change of fortune for Manchester United in this second half. A good ball played forward from Fletcher. And Herrick beaten at his near post. The power beat him. Manchester United joyous now, as they've now taken it to West Ham and showed them who is in charge. Unfortunate for West Ham, the ball was played up, it was looping down towards Adieli.
Substitution for West Ham.
Had a decision to make, but whilst it was coming down to him, Tyler Fletcher applying pressure onto him, winning it back, feeding through a lovely ball. And the two opportunities they've had have created the 2 goals as well. So West Ham really need to show some character now. Hard when they've had a good first half performance. Didn't really create much, but it didn't matter as they did enough to just keep in front. That team talk from Travis Binion and his staff has certainly changed fortunes here for Man United. Here's Adieli. All played in. First time we're really looking left this second half. Now Mayers. Mayers trying to scoop it in behind towards Swire. So he holds it up against Devaney. Trying to take it beyond him and taking out of the pitch as well. It will be a goal kick. Short goal kick taken. And there has been a substitution. Ryan Battram has come on. Hopefully he can change fortunes for West Ham. He was introduced just after their second goal went in. But now can they get a third? They can't, as there was the foul. Albeit the ball found the back of the net. Regan Clayton was pushed over. You can see Akpata trying to drive it forward towards Robinson. The ball then ended up looping beyond. It was Caelan Casey who was then pushed off balance by Ethan Wheatley. Of course, the second goal scorer for Manchester United. He played for the England under-19 side as well. He also has just been on loan at Walsall for the second half of the season. So like Regan Clayton, he's been enjoying senior football, and he finds himself back with his under-21 side for these big playoff games. Of course, Manchester United, we all know, have had a really, really poor season, having the Europa League to try and save their season. In doing so, Ruben Amorim has, of course, called up a lot of the under-21s players that would typically play in this type of fixture as well. Of course, Chidozie Obi, the striker, just 17 years old. He had 2 goals in 4 games for the under-21s this season, 5 in 6 games for the under-18s. Harry Amass, of course, a left-back, who currently Sam Murray is playing as a left-back this afternoon, the player about to take the throw. Harry Amass played a full 90 against Brentford in their 4-3 defeat at the GTEC Community Stadium yesterday afternoon. And Tyler Fredrickson, another centre-half who typically would play for the under-21s. He's now finding himself gain invaluable first-team minutes in the Premier League, with the side, of course, prioritising their semi-final fixture against Bilbao. Enough of that team. We now try to hope that West Ham make something count. But they're unable to do so there. So Ryan Battram has come on. I believe it's for Regan Clayton, which suggests Adieli has then moved over to the left wing-back position, which we've typically seen him in throughout the campaign this season, with Ryan Battram playing like a right forward, or along that forward line just behind Josh Ajala. Of course, Battram said going into this game that the game against Sunderland really gave them confidence. They're feeling confident now. Of course, haven't seen so much confidence in the way they've played this game. But Orford trying to pick out a pass, but I think that's an example there But when those passes aren't perhaps pulled off with the precision intended, frustrations can start to creep in. And after that, you subsequently see the confidence slightly diminished, but they've got to keep their heads with them, as there's still plenty of time to try and get a goal back and change their fortunes. Of course, it could even mirror the way the under-18 game went in the playoffs, well, not the playoffs, the quarter-finals in the Premier League under-18 Cup. West Ham found themselves a goal up and then found themselves having to make it 2-2 to then take it to extra time. Patter just trying to body in on Devaney. He's unfazed by it. Kone just off balance. This time get a throw. Golombekis. They just win it back, Manchester United. A real change of fortunes. Hardly see them just pass the ball around like we saw it in the first half. And is Ethan Wheatley offside? He is. And thankfully for West Ham, it's a free kick. We did kick the ball after the whistle was blown. I was just thinking that. It's happened on a couple of occasions now. He finds himself going into the book. A very cheap yellow card to receive. Just before, of course, when he was up against Casey and he pushed Casey off balance. And then the referee blew his whistle. He still struck it. Found the back of the net, but the referee not having him do it a second time without being unpunished. Fletcher just fouling at Patter there. Orford. And Mayers. Swire. And Ellie just in front. Here is Swire. This looks promising as room is opening up for him, but he just has the heavy touch. And just gifts it to Manchester United in a poor area as well, as they had bodies committed, West Ham. And now Manchester United look to try and hit one back. Here's Scanlon, the scorer of the United first. Devaney. Ogane. Devaney again. Of course, this is being live streamed on the West Ham YouTube channel. If you haven't already, do like and subscribe. Of course, feel free to comment as well on the stream. Who's been your player of the season? Some real standouts. A lot of people, I'm sure, will say Lewis Orford, just due to the fact that he's in and around, or has been in and around the first team. Perhaps not on the same level as Scarles, but him and Casey have enjoyed substitute appearances, which is always brilliant to see. Of course, there's no reason why people can't say Josh Ajala either. Not just for the under-21s, but what a season he's had for the under-18s, scoring some really important goals, as well as the brace at the Majewski a couple of Tuesdays ago. Adieli's been bright, Ezra Mayers as well. I'm looking forward to seeing Golombekis next season, if he's still, of course, in a West Ham shirt. No reason he can't be, of course. But just seeing his progression going up to the under-21s, which we've seen him make that season. Wouldn't be surprised, of course, if Casey fancies trying to get some first-team minutes somewhere, as he is one of the senior players now for this West Ham side. Not just to do with his age, but also the way he's been playing with this squad for a couple of seasons now. Perhaps he may want some first-team minutes, which will then open it up for the likes of even Rayan Oyabade from the under-18s, and of course Iridas Golombekis. Another player to look forward to perhaps next season is Riley Organ, really impressed in the final. But this isn't impressive now for West Ham, but that is Golombekis just managing to get in a decisive touch. But this is troublesome. Hit over from Tyler Fletcher. Manchester United causing way more issues for West Ham than we saw in the first half. Important there from Golombekis. Matha Did well to send in another dangerous ball. Just miss-hit from the midfielder. Swire. And Mayers. Devaney over towards Murray on that left-hand side. Action trying to go in. Ajala trying to press. You can see the frustration. Just needs to be careful, Josh Ajala. Not let himself lose his focus by being frustrated that his side are 2 goals down to 1. And in fact, that maybe it sometimes, in all fairness, can be hard when you've been a focal point in this season. Player that the players have intentionally relied upon, but have ended up relying on his important goals. Perhaps just wants things to maybe go his way, but needs to fight for it first. As he just tries to close in on Harrison. Interception from Akpata opens things up for Swire. Here's Battram now, brought down. West Ham feel they should have had a penalty, but as you can tell, no referee whistle. So play continues as we're in the final 19 minutes now. West Ham need to get a goal if they want their Premier League 2 playoff hopes to survive. Of course, last season Manchester United were unable to get past the first knockout phase. They lost 6-2 to Arsenal. And of course, that day Arsenal had Miles Lewis-Skelly, Ethan Neri playing. And they even had Aidan Heaven, who ended up going to Manchester United that summer, and he's had a few cameos for the first team this season as well.
West Ham United coming off number 5, Arena Skolbeckis.
Won by Tottenham.
Coming on the 12, Dan
Manchester City have won this competition 3 years in a row. Dan Rigg has been introduced now. Technical player. He looks to come in and play that advanced position just in front of Orford. There's Mayers. Now Rigg trying to provide an option for Akpata. Nice footwork there from Akpata into Rigg. Swire. Akpata. Forced back to Eric. The player to have been replaced by Dan Rigg was Eridas Skolbeckis, so a slight tactical change made by Mark Robson, swapping a defender for an attacker, showing the intent now for the remaining 17 minutes. It will be a throw, and Sam Murray for Manchester United will take it. Richard's really making an option. Making sure Murray throws it long towards Kone, but he gets a touch, falling back towards Casey. And Mayers. Fabielli probably having to play like a left back now. What a switch that's been for him, starting off as a left winger in the game and ending up as a left back. Usually he's used to just playing in that midpoint. Manchester United players brought down. Kone with the driving run, and it will be another yellow card for a West Ham player. Casey with the forward pass. Battram with a slightly heavy touch. He's stuck in a leg. Looks like it's going to be Akpata to go into the book with that late slide challenge on Sekou Kone, the 19-year-old. So either Mather or Murray, who have been the designated set-piece takers so far this afternoon. Play it short and play it back. Here they go again. Jarlo's a quiet game for his standards. It's a quarter of an hour to try and help his side back into it as they look for a second, but Manchester United enjoying the ball. Not now though, as Orford nicks it off them. Casey. The pressure from Akpata, the pressure from the midfield as well is terrific for Manchester United, barely giving West Ham a chance to think in the middle of the park. And now they give away another cheap foul. This time it was Adieli to bring down Oda Ogune. I was having words with Adieli. Not going into the referee's book. Of course, only 2 players so far have been booked for West Ham, Tyrone Akpata and Regan Clayton in the first half. Well, it looks like now, unless something changes, Manchester United are going to be setting up an all-Manchester semi-final, which will be played at some point this weekend, as Manchester City being the home side. Stretched out towards that left-hand side, back to Kokonki. All the way back to Harrison in goal. Sends it central, but Mayers taps it forward. Now Akpata, Orford. With Robinson. Patrick with a heavy touch, trying to take it past his player, but instead opening up room behind him for Murray to exploit. Orford with some defending on the edge of his area. Quick free from Murray, creeping in, and Manchester United all but confirm their semi-final place in the Premier League 2 playoffs. A deflection helped it find the back of the net. But all coming down that left-hand side from another mistake as well from West Ham. Tricky feet. And in fact, it was a deflection of Ethan Wheatley that saw it bobble over a helpless Herrick in goal. Unfortunate for West Ham. It's been a really disappointing second half for their standards. They haven't been able to actually get hold of the game at any point. Of course, the first half from both sides wasn't the most impressive that we've seen. And the best thing was the goal, and it gave West Ham hope going into that break that they could achieve something in the second half. It was always going to be a big ask. Of course, Manchester United, albeit they finished 5th, albeit their senior side are way off it, they're still a tough outfit. Their under-18s, of course, have been very good
Substitution for
in their
Manchester
division.
United, coming off number 6, Jacob
They're always going to offer a tough
coming
test.
on 12, Tommy Rowe.
Tommy Rowe is coming on for Manchester United. 36 years old, which may seem peculiar given the age range. However, he is a player coach. He's coming on to just settle things for his side, to apply experience, I suppose, for his players as they go into the final 10+ minutes and stoppage time, having to hold on to a really important 2-goal lead. There's Mark Robson, though, speaking with his young hammers, just trying to motivate them, give them some lessons going into what could be their final 10 minutes of the season together. they try and get back into this? You'd think if they do, they'll be having to go down the extra time route. This is where they just have to dig deep. Maybe just enjoy some possession, as Manchester United have dominated it in this second period. So West Ham set back again. This time the goal scorer Sam Murray, the fullback, with the tricky feet. Sent forward towards Ajala. A goal soon would certainly change the complexion of the end of the game. Here's Harrison. Sending it down the middle towards Wheatley, who gets an important flick on towards James Scanlon. Feels like things are just opening up now for Manchester United. Scanlon just dragging some players in towards his direction and playing it out wide after. Murray. Here's Mather. See Tommy Rowe there, the substitute has just come on, the number 12. Here he is. Just going to pluck the strings on the middle of the park. Switch cut out well. Trying to play it forward, but just finds Kokonki, the centre back for Manchester United. Back to number 3, Louis Jackson. And Manchester United feel they can pass it round the back. Of course, in the first half, they didn't look phased when they went 1 goal down. They still carried on playing the way they wanted to. And you've got to commend it really now with how the second half has panned out. So a poor ball forward from Herrick. You could feel like he was trying to find Akpata, but slightly too much onto that, and perhaps Akpata thought it was for someone beyond him. Here's Tommy Rowe. Keeping things ticking. As Murray finds himself on the underlap. Coney finds himself fairly isolated. Robinson going in. Batcham trying to work the ball out of that huddle of Manchester United players on the floor. Rowe and his experience keeps it nicely. Here's Scanlon. So looks to try and bury it. Calls for a penalty, but nothing given. West Ham just needs to try and carry on now. It feels unlikely, but it's certainly not over if they were able to nick a goal before the 88th minute. Give them something to really play for in the final moments and whatever stoppage time we get. Another player is down. They'll welcome that, Manchester United. Of course, plenty of players coming back from West Ham on loan. Freddie Potts being one of them, also in the Championship this season. A standout season for Portsmouth with a 1-1 draw at home to Hull City, who of course ensured their survival through goal difference. He made 37 league appearances for Portsmouth, 35 of which were starts, so he's had a very successful and promising first full season in the Championship. Already mentioned George Earthy and Mason Terry and Patrick Kelly. All players have, of course, come back much better than when they left West Ham last season. Especially George Earthy. Really looking forward to seeing how his career can develop at West Ham. Wouldn't be surprised if Bristol City try coming in for him if they were to get promoted through the playoffs. So Sekou Kone just having to receive some medical attention there. As we enter the final 6 minutes. Here's Casey. Herrick. Out towards Adieli. Wilford. Trying to find a solution over on that right-hand side, but instead a red shirt just winning it back and Kokonki holding it up nicely. Floated over towards Scanlon. Headed in by Adieli. Now Casey. Terrific feet there from Swire with the flick towards Ajala. Now Adieli. Ajala, terrific. As it opens up, Orford tries to play it through towards Battram. Unable to find him, and look at Manchester United coming forward now. On the transition, Scanlon taking it on the inside. Here's Rowe. Mather. Oh, nice footwork. This time shown from Sam Mather over than Kamari Swire. Must have seen him do it and thought about time I try pull off a trick like that. They're working it ever so well now, Manchester United, just playing through West Ham and driving through. Here's Murray looking for a brace, and it's a penalty. Or no, it's a goal kick. I apologise if I got anyone instantly worried there, but the way the referee just pointed towards a goal kick looked like he was pointing at the penalty spot. Perhaps he was looking for that one, I think. You can see Casey was wanting to stick in a foot and decided to go down. Not sure if Mark was to my right hand side right now, he'd be saying how he should go for diving rather than playing football. Get him in the Olympics. There's Ajala. Ajala again. It's very well organised, Manchester United. Balanced too, with a strong midfield. Like to play a midfield three usually. And that's what they're doing today with Fletcher, Devaney and Kone. With two technically gifted wingers in Scanlon and Mather. And they've got a finisher like Wheatley up top. It's always going to be difficult for their opposition. Another player down now for Man United. It was number 8.
Substitution for Manchester United coming off from
to shove in an elbow to Josh Ajala, who found himself down. Then all of a sudden you saw Tyler Fletcher go down as well. So there he is, Ethan Wheatley going off after getting a really important goal to put Manchester United 2-1 up.
And coming on in his place number 16, Gabe Biancheri.
He's being replaced by the young Welsh Gabe Biancheri. He's had a terrific season for the under-18, scoring 10 goals for them this season. 3 goals. Oh, no, 5 goals, sorry, the under-21, so he's a top goal scorer. So as they take off Wheatley, they bring on another problem. As the game is starting to look more and more out of reach of the young Hammers. There will be a sizable amount of added on time due to some of the stoppages after players have gone down. This is good from Walford, working it well. As Tommy Rowe gets a little nudge onto him, but doesn't phase Walford as they still come forward through Robinson. That's a poor ball played in, and Kokonki will welcome that all day long. Kone's lurking outside the area, but here's Mather. Just tried to slide it through, whether he was looking for a goal. I think he was actually, but it came off Herrick, which saw it turn away from the back of the net. Good save there from Finn Herrick. And here's Akpata. Adiele. Akpata with a switch. Robinson just taking it away. Now Batram. As the under-21 season looks to be coming to an end, we'll have stoppage time added any moment from now. Swire pops up on the left, hugging the touchline, providing some width up against Ogene. Slid in well from Rowe, to the extent though he did actually give a foul. Taking out Swire at the same time. And what a time this could be to score, to add pressure. That's a shocking challenge when you look back at it. He didn't even get the ball. So 4 minutes added on.
That's number 4 minutes added time.
Personally, it could be around 6 due to the 3 goals we've seen in the substitutions. West Ham now just with about 3.5 minutes to try and make something happen. Perhaps they can try and end on a high here with Dan Rigg, the closest player to Warford. Adiele and Robinson outside the area, but he sends it over towards Mayers, who clips it back. Harrison there to claim and collect that chance. Here comes Kone against Batram, feeding out to the left. Murray keeping on his run. Terrific footwork there from Mather. Can they finish it off? There we go. It was confirmed already, but Sam Mather makes extra sure that he's set up a Manchester derby for the semi-final of the Premier League 2 playoffs this season. They've just blown West Ham away in this second half. And from the 50th minute, when they found the equaliser, it's really felt like there's been one team in it. And the footwork shown from Sam Mather there, and the composure at the end to fire it into that top corner. It was truly sublime. 9 goals in the season now for him. In his 12th appearance. And Sekou Kone comes off, met with applause round the stadium.
And coming on the 15, Jack Fletcher.
He originally came in from Manchester City a few seasons ago, just 18 years of age, 4 goals in 9 appearances for Jack Fletcher. Player down late on here as we're in the final minute now. I think it's Sam Murray. Well, it's been a great season for West Ham, in large parts, of course, for their under-21s. They had a few spells where it was tough and it felt a win was hard to come by, but when they had that 7 to 8 game winning streak, it really felt they could beat anyone, no matter who. And also an extremely good positive to take from the second half of this season and to go into this summer is to see the development of some of the players. And that's what this level is all about. Development first, results second. Of course, the results do mean that bit more in the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. But when you look at it as a whole for the Academy of Football, it's been a good season, especially when you win silverware. And I look forward to seeing under-18s come up next year and really adds to this under-21 side that has got plenty of talent in it. But Manchester United have just shown too much in the second half. And that is the end. West Ham United season is over for the under-21s. It was a positive first half when Amika Alieli put them a goal up. But the second half performance from Manchester United is something to really applaud. But what a season it's been. It's been a pleasure to be behind the mic, of course with Mark Phillips for large parts of it. Do subscribe and like for the YouTube channel of West Ham United. We'll be back next season for all the under-21s home games. I'm looking forward to that one already. Have a brilliant summer, everyone. Doesn't end here, but it does this afternoon. Manchester United 4, West Ham United 1.